I am a trans man. I'm technically pansexual and homo-romantic. So I'm attracted to anyone, really, not anyone, but attracted to people of all genders. But I really want to be in a relationship with men. I think that's it for identity-wise, but otherwise, I'm an open book. I love people. I love meeting new people and connecting with them. I work as the assistant director for intercultural affairs currently at Western Carolina University. And part of my job is to coordinate like Safe Zone, which is our LGBTQ ally training, and as well as working with the LGBTQ community on campus with programming and stuff like that. Also, part of my job is to work with sexual assault and awareness and sexual violence awareness, as well as on programming surrounding diversity and inclusion in general. Yeah, so I coordinate the Safe Zone program. So our Safe Zone on campus at Western is a 2-part 4-hour total training. So it's 2 hours. We include information like talking about what the difference between sex and gender is, talking about sexuality and romantic orientation. We talk about some more terminology. We watch a couple videos in part 1. And in part 2, we actually go into and have usually a panel of students that talk about their experiences, as well as some scenarios that people can work through. So it gives them the opportunity to build knowledge and also skills. So at the end of it, they should feel comfortable working with or talking with members of the LGBTQ community on campus and feel comfortable being a support system for that. Of course, they come out of it not knowing everything. We don't want to say that you'll know everything at the end. I don't know everything, and I get paid to do it, right? But it just gives them information and gives them a base of knowledge for them to be able to interact more efficiently and appropriately with the LGBTQ community. So some of the stuff that I do with the LGBTQ community, I do programming. So I help out with like Pride Week that's happened on campus before. I oversee I'm one of the advisors for SAGA, our Sexuality and Gender Alliance on campus. And I think that's about it, really. Mostly just supporting students, supporting the clubs and organizations, doing programming here and there, as well as I'm also in charge of the big drag show that happens in March, or is happening in March this year anyway. And the last time we had the drag show, we had like 1,000 people in attendance.
Wow.
It was in the Ramsey Center, which holds thousands of people. So it was really successful. So we're excited to see what happens this year.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So my main context, so we have a LGBTQ working group on campus. And I oversee that as well. But that's a group of faculty and staff who get together to talk about LGBTQ concerns on campus. We worked on like the preferred name policy that is now a part of campus, so students can change their names and update them pretty easily. It's just you go through, you search for it in My WCU, and then it pops up, and you click on a form, and you just put your information in. So we had a hand in that. We're also working on things like getting pronouns as an option for students to be able to add in. Pronouns are already on Canvas. We didn't have anything to do with that, but we're involved in various things like that and keeping up to date with what's going on campus and making sure that it's a safe and welcoming environment for LGBTQ people, whether that's faculty, staff, or students. So that's mostly what we do there. I also get in contact with SAGA quite regularly because I want the voice of the students to be represented as well, and want to make sure that any programming I do is relevant to students and something that they're interested in, and also something that SAGA is willing to promote, just to make sure that we're getting the information out to students and they're feeling comfortable with it and they really want to attend. Yeah, so that drag show has grown. Mm-hmm. It started off as SAGA, or previous iterations of SAGA, because they've changed their name a few times, used to do an amateur drag show and a professional drag show. So they would do one each semester. So the amateur drag show would be students that were interested in performing, and the professional drag show would be local performers. So they started off there. It ended up becoming a bigger thing with like a headliner from RuPaul's Drag Race, and campus activities took that over. And they were working in conjunction with us in intercultural affairs, because I am currently in charge of like the local performers, and they're in charge of the headliner, and a lot of the organizational stuff and stuff like that. And I'm also in charge of like student performers. So we have a couple. We're doing some tryouts soon, and yeah, so we'll have some student performers there, as well as the local performers and the big headliner. But I think drag is it's always been a part of the community. And it's always been like a statement. So it gets you thinking about gender and gender identity and gender presentation. And there's a lot of drag that isn't strictly drag queens or drag kings. Like that gender fuck kind of drag. That's really great and one of my favorites. Just because I love seeing people play with gender and play with presentation. And seeing them perform it kind of makes it a cool thing that other people can watch. One of my favorite things is always seeing children at drag shows, because their parents are exposing them to different people in different parts of the LGBTQ community, whether they are or not. It just gives them some exposure and lets them learn more and see more. So they might not end up as one of those people that says, I just don't know anybody that's LGBTQ, so I don't have positive feelings about them, right? So hopefully those kind of parents are awakening their children to learning more about the community and being more comfortable with people within the community. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of information out there that is incorrect. There's a lot of people that don't have any information, and so they feel negatively. They're like, well, I don't know anybody, and it's something weird, it's foreign to me, so I just don't like it. And I think getting information out there and educating people, not in the people need to be educated way, but in the just getting them information and helping them to learn more, is really beneficial, because it can really help people learn and change and grow, and say, hey, I know someone who is part of the LGBTQ community, and they're pretty cool. They're a person just like me, which is the biggest thing we really want to get across, right? We all clean toilets, so we all have families of some sort, whether that's fur babies or whether that's, children or spouses or anything like that, or whether it's just family in general. But yeah, it's just getting across that information and trying to be a point of contact. And part of my job, to me at least, is being being very out about who I am. So I have this rainbow lanyard that I have my keys on that sticks out of my pocket. I'll regularly, I have a shirt that's all rainbow. I have shirts that say Pride and stuff on them, that I'll wear to work on like Fridays and stuff like that. But I feel like it's very important for me to be out, because it shows students in particular, that you can be successful and out, that you can be who you are and still be successful in a position. One of my favorite things that I've ever had happen to me is when I worked in the career center. So I have tattoos and piercings, a lot of them. And I remember talking with a student, I think it was during CAT camp, and the student was crying, saying basically that it really meant a lot to them to see someone with piercings and tattoos in a professional job. That they thought they had been told, by multiple people that having piercings and tattoos meant you couldn't have a job, meant you couldn't do anything professional. You'd have to work at a job you didn't love or didn't like, and you wouldn't have a choice in that position. So things like that, and hearing people say that this means a lot to me to see someone who is, a certain way or dresses a certain way or identifies a certain way in a professional position, really gives them hope that they can be in a professional position someday. And those kinds of interactions have always meant really a lot to me.